Hello and welcome back to another day in the arena. It's me, it's CGB, and today we're checking in on our free-to-play account. The season has ended. The rewards have been handed out, as you see, not smashing limited, which is my way, and constructed. We only had time to get to silver tier 3, but maybe we'll get a pack for our troubles. And 500 gold and a pack. Maybe our account can make it there next time. So then they place us based on how far we got. And now we are in bronze tier 3 instead of tier 4. A whole notch higher. All right. We've got quests. A 750 with red spells. Yes, please. A 750 with lands. Sure. Let's reroll this baby. And it looks like we have some blue and green spells. I bet that means we're getting the Merfolk deck. Yes, we are. Let's crack a pack. Keep moving that wild card counter when we can. We got a common wild card and a Ritual of Soot. So a decent rare to throw in the collection. This is our 4th day red deck. We have all our Fanatical Firebrands. We still have a Spear Spewer hanging out at common. We have 3 Skewer the Critics. We just got a common wild card, so we can cash that in and be on the full 4. I can pull Skewer out of the deck. And we can keep it on 22 Mountains and 2 Rekindling Phoenix, I think, for now. Otherwise, I have the core of the deck that I want. The only changes I would probably make now is if we get the rare wildcards for it. I might turn these 2 Rekindling Phoenixes and 2 Mountains into 4 Runaway Steamkins, because I think that those go very well in this type of deck. And those cards running away with a game, jokes, are usually a quick way to easy victories. So, moving right along, I think today is a good day to jump into our first event. I believe we have the entry money. Now, events are something you can invest the gold in, and at the very minimum, you get back 100 gold and 3 cards. That's if you win 0 times and lose 3 games. But with a good red deck and some good talent, it's pretty easy to most of the time get to 4 wins, and if we get to, which gives us back 500 gold and 3 cards, not to mention our quest progress. And if we get to 7 wins, we double our gold and get to 1,000 gold and free cards. So, also, our cards get upgraded. In this case, we would get 2 rares instead of down here, where the 3 cards will at least be uncommons. So, I think now is the time. We have a deck that's pretty close to the final form. And I want to see how far we can get. Would be a bad time to get unlucky right here on stream, but normally you can get pretty far with a red deck. These events are usually full of them. And this hand is just fine with Lava Runners, Pyromancer, and Light Up the Stage. We don't have any of our Lightning Bolt type effects, but they will be coming. Lightning Bolt, of course, being 3 damage to any target. Lightning Strike, Skewer the Critics, Wizard's Lightning. Call them all Lightning Bolt effects. Shock is a shock. When, like, a 2 damage effect is a shock. So Viashino Pyromancer comes with a shock, you might say. So I'm going to get in there with the Lava Runner. I could use Light Up the Stage here, but I actually like holding it for a little while instead of making it the first play I make. And we'll Pyromance the opponent on the face, right on the nose. Now please play something with 1 toughness, like a Drover of the Mighty for my Goblin Chain Whirler. Instead it's Thunderherd Migration. So a dinosaur deck with Regisaur Alpha. This can be a pretty tough deck to beat. To be honest with you, it can be a challenge. Now, this is interesting. We can, if we want to, we can Wizard's Lightning the opponent's face, Light Up the Stage, and play in Chain Whirler. That gets us in for 9 total damage this turn and sets 2 cards aside for the future. And that reduces the opponent's life total to 8. The reason I think I want to do that is because our opponent's likely to start playing big monsters that are very hard to attack through. So rather than play our biggest creature and most expensive card, Chain Whirler, I think I want to play as many spells as I can. So here's Wizard Lightning for the face. Now we're doing this first main because if we don't, our creature doesn't get the buff and the haste. What I should have done is not played a land. So if Light Up the Stage revealed a land, I could play it this turn and hold the other land for next turn. But look at that. A Rekindling Phoenix and a 4th land off the top. Pretty excellent. Pretty excellent indeed. And the opponent's going to scoop it up without seeing anything more. They feel as if they've already lost the game, seeing that Rekindling Phoenix coming down. Remember, those cards are revealed, so they know. And right away, first game, we pick up the Jungle Secrets deck. You can have a look at the deck really quick. Merfolk is an interesting tribe, very aggressive, very hard to block, so they can be fun for a few games. They don't usually come with many cards that are useful, unfortunately, for other decks, because when a tribe is a tribe, they often stick together, and the Merfolk certainly do. Deeproot Champion is not a very good rare. Deeproot Elite is a very good rare in the deck, but not a generally good rare. Jadelight Ranger is probably the best rare. This goes in a lot of Golgari, Selesnya, and other Simic Explorer decks, so it teams up with a card like Wildgrowth Walker. And then we have Cumena, which is our Mythic, which, again, only in Merfolk decks. Herald of Secret Streams, another one that's probably only for Merfolk decks. Seafloor Oracle, same thing, whenever Merfolk deals the damage. So all of these kind of live in the Merfolk deck. And Hinterland Harbor, there you get a rare dual land, which is usually always the best card there. All right. The Merfolk deck on its own is powerful, and if you need something to play just to get some blue-green stuff done, it's decent. And if we cast 40 blue or green spells, we do get this pack, so I should work on that. At the same time, I've got this quest going. What to do? What to do? Well, I guess if we don't knock this out, we're probably not making progress, and we can't win another deck until we do the quest. So be it. I suppose we'll have to wait. But we can make a little more progress, probably, if we can do these quests quickly. So, what other cards do I want in my Merfolk deck? I don't like to simply play the deck as is, although we certainly can. I always like to add some things of my own. That said, this is a free-to-play stream. People out there probably do just want to play the deck and get the quest done, so I guess I'll show you how that goes. Especially with a deck that's, pretty good. It's not amazing, but a pretty good deck in the Merfolk. So we'll take you into normal play. I guess I have not much to lose in ranked, to be honest. I just don't like to play ranked with a deck that I don't love. If you're going to embrace the rank as a reflection of your skill and your MTG awesomeness, I like to play with decks that I love, or at least tolerate, or at least am confident with. Like, do I love red when I play it in ranked? I don't love it. I love control decks at heart, but when red is the best deck, I will usually switch to it, at least for a period of time. So right away, this hand is awesome. We've got 4 creatures, 3 spells, Silvergill Adept to draw a card, a Lord to buff our stuff. And what are we up against? A turn 1 Gutterbones, a turn 1 rare, so it's on. Let's do some revealing of... I guess I can reveal the Pioneer. I don't want my opponent to know about the Weaver when they're trying to decide how to play out their cards, and I don't want them to know about the Mistbinder because they'll probably save a kill spell for the Mistbinder. Don't block the Gutterbones. It comes back if the opponent does damage to you, which can be a nuisance. The opponent now with a Diregraph Ghoul and a Vicious Conquistador, so a cheap and very aggressive black deck is currently the look. I think I'll send in the Silvergill Adept. I don't think the opponent will block it. I'm trying to decide if I'm the beatdown. The opponent definitely feels they are the beatdown. I need this Mistbinder to live more than I think anything else. Maybe if the opponent's the beatdown, maybe I'm supposed to play the Pioneer. They do know about it already. It gets more bodies on the field. But do I attack with Silvergill Adept? Counter Racing's a thing. I think I'll play the Pioneer and say go. I want to see how my opponent responds to having these creatures on the board. I'm hoping that they're on removal like Walk the Plank, just because that doesn't kill Merfolk. Wow, just getting in there. Alright, I'll try blocking the Conquistador. And I think I can try the Silvergill Adept on the Ghoul. The opponent probably has some kind of a trick. A card like Skullduggery is going to kill the Gill anyway. Alright, I'll try like this. Abnormal Endurance. What do you even do? Until end of turn, +2/+0, and when it dies, return it tapped to the battlefield. So it still dies, but then it comes back. Another Gutter Bones as well. The opponent feeling frisky. Let's lock a Gutter Bones down. And the opponent's conceding the game. That's strange. Perhaps they just decided they don't like their deck very much. It is a little bit of a... It's kind of a very low to the ground throw things at you deck. Or they just have to go. I don't know what to think of this. Theories as to what just happened to my opponent. Post them in comments. Alright. This hand is again 3 lands and a bunch of cards that are good. Elite into Pioneer into Oracle is pretty great if we draw another island. Disperse interacts with the opponent, so we can try that. With these starter decks, the balance is usually pretty good. A good mix of lands and spells, and you're off to the races. As long as you can cast a few of those spells, there shouldn't be too much thinking about mulliganing. It's usually, do I have 2 or 3 lands, 4 lands, and do I have some spells that I can cast? It's once you get more into meta decks with defined roles and in very predictable situations is when you look at a hand and try to think, does this get me there? How good is this hand? I think I'll just go for it. The Deep Root Elite dies to just about anything. But if it lives, the Jungleborn Pioneer is 3 mana for 5 power and toughness, which is amazing. And, alrighty, hold on to your butts. Okay, so our opponent could have a Goblin Chainwhirler, I suppose, so I will buff this Elite. But then I'm also going to buff my Hexproof creature and hope that it's not Fiery Cannonade, which is another card that would be a huge problem here. Rootbound Crag. We have green mana, which usually means it's the dinosaurs. Or a Dragon's Horde. Okay. I will play the 4th land, play the Seafloor Oracle, continue to pump up the Hexproof creature because it's hard to deal with, attack with all, and draw 3 cards, which is a pretty excellent way to refill your hand when you spent your earlier turns playing out creatures. Thank you, Seafloor Oracle, for drawing all these cards. What a lovely, lovely card. And I like blue decks a lot for drawing cards. One reason with the quests that we have to do, if you draw more cards, you can normally cast more spells and complete your quests quicker. Here is a Whelp. Sarkhan's Whelp is a 3 mana 2/2 flying dragon. Baby Dragon. Whenever you activate an ability of a Sarkhan Planeswalker, it deals 1 damage to any target. So, opponent is just trying to do dragony stuff. With their Dragon's Horde, they get to put a counter on it, which they can remove to draw a card. So they also get to draw some cards. And I'm sure that they're working on finding some other dragons. However, let's see. This adds 1, 2, 3, 4. It adds 1 to each merfolk. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. And then 14 from the Elite. And the opponent's going to scoop it up as they sense doom approaching. But the play is to disperse their blocker so it's back in their hand, not able to block. Play the Lord and win. Another hand with lands and spells. Let's rock and roll. Deep-Root Champion. So whenever you cast a non-creature spell, put a +1/+1 counter on Deep-Root Champion. Kind of a weird card to have in the deck, since the deck is mostly creatures. So there's a Tithe Taker, which is a pretty annoying card. During your turn, spells cost 1 more to cast, and abilities cost 1 more to activate. Afterlife 1, it's pretty good against Cumena especially. We'll have to see how this plays out. I'm going to reveal the champion, as it's a pretty low impact card. Maybe the opponent will see that's rare and fear it. But I love getting that Silvergill Adept down. I love drawing that card. And here's Resplendent Angel, a mythic rare flying 3/3. When my opponent has 6 mana, they can make it a 5/5 lifelink. And anytime they gain 5 life or more, they make an angel. That's going to be obnoxious, to put it mildly. Very obnoxious. So, what's the plays? This is one of those situations where we could bluff attack. I don't like it though. We could also tap down or bounce the Resplendent Angel, which we may have to do later, but it's not a terrible threat yet. It's going to be a much bigger threat later. So instead I'm going to take the turn to deploy more Merfolk. So you go out there, you get out there, and we'll pass the turn back to the opponent. And our opponent is curved out with Rare, Mythic, Rare, which, you know, we're on Uncommon, Common, Uncommon. I guess we have a Rare, but our Rare is not actually good. Creates some tension. Let's go ahead and lock down the War Leader. It's a 4/4 that makes more creatures when it attacks, so keeping it on lockdown is very important. Then I'm going to attack with my creatures because we have to somehow win a race, and I don't think I'm going to. But I'm going to play to our outs, as they say. If we draw cards like Sleep and just keep their creatures locked down and attack several more times, it's possible to steal the game. Our opponent's blocked, our creature died, their creature died, but they get a 1/1 because their Tithe Taker has the ability of Afterlife. There's a Johnny's Pride mate. Yeah, this game is an absolute destruction. We really need to draw something like Sleep here. Tempest Caller can tap down the creatures, but if our opponent has a land next turn, they just gain a bajillion life. Yeah, I don't think there's any chance that we pull this game off. However, in the spirit of the quest, I'm going to cast my most expensive spells, and then I'm going to take my beating. Activating the ability gives the Angel lifelink. Now they gain a bajillion life. Their creatures become enormous. They decide easily that yes, you attack with everything. So I'm taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, plus 5, 13. Okay, so I can't block that way. I should instead block to save my life total, because if I block that way, I die. And I just want another turn to cast my spells. That's all we want. To cast these spells, so we don't have to play the Merfolk deck all day. There's a spell to cast. Excellent. So in order to cast the most spells that I possibly can this turn, I'm going to disperse my Silvergill Adept. I'm going to play it again. I'm going to reveal that I have this Jade Bearer in my hand. We draw Herald of Secret Streams. I was hoping for another 1-drop like another Jade Bearer. And we put a +1/+1 counter. And we'll play this and attack. The opponent can block. They can kill it. It's fine. And maybe they have some spells to play out for quests too. It's fine. It's all fine. Maybe they also have a quest to kill some creatures, so I'll throw them some softballs on that front as well. Take my beating. Lands, spells, yay. I think these starter decks get better treated by the hand smoothing algorithm than other decks. Am I crazy? Conspiracy theory? I don't know. So I could play Cumena Speaker for 1, but since these lands enter tapped, I'd have to top deck another land to play another creature the next turn. So it would only be a 1/1, which isn't very exciting. What's very exciting is the River Sneak, which is unblockable and gets a +1/+1 buff from every other merfolk that you play. So there's nothing wrong with having a Cumena Speaker to play later to buff my River Sneak. There you go. Greenwood Sentinel, 2/2 Vigilance. So, once again, I think it is best to get my land out of the way. I'm also trying to decide if do I want to play something like a Rabid Bite? My opponents often have the removal in this green deck is often a card like Rabid Bite, and if you can make your creature too big in response, it sort of counters the bite. Is it better to do that, or is it better to play more creatures? For example, I could play Mistcloaked Herald and Cumena Speaker this turn, or Merfolk Mistbinder. I guess that's the most aggressive line, and it's not a bad line. If our opponent has a blocker next turn, Water Trap Weaver. So I'll take the line that does the most damage. And we'll play our Mistbinder, pump up all of our fishies, and slam, bam, Super Sneak. And we'll see if the opponent has that Rabid Bite, if they have Blanchwood Armor. They have a mythic rare, a Nullhide Ferox 6/6 Hexproof. Holy crap! Alright, well, our land enters the battlefield tapped, so means we can't play Sleep this turn, but next turn Sleep is going to be a really big game. However, in the meantime, I can't interact with this Ferox. Hexproof means I can't target it. So I have to pay 2 to be able to target it. I can't pay 2 and play the Weaver, for example. So we'll play the Jungleborn Pioneer. It will make our unblockable Merfolk Sneak, River Sneak, a 4/4 again, and we'll attack with just the Sneak. If we attack with either of these, the Ferox will block it. And the opponent doesn't want to play anymore. The unblockability of the Merfolk is too much. Oh, we did unlock a pack for our weekly wins and 100 gold. Claim that prize. Let's go see what we got. A Guardian Project. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield, if it doesn't have the same name as another creature you control, or a creature card in your graveyard, draw a card. So basically 4 mana, draw a card whenever you cast a creature, as long as you're playing all singleton creatures. Interesting card. Probably not very good. I know I say that about a lot of cards, but it's true. What makes the best cards the best is that they are different, unique, and have game-altering effects. That card is certainly different and unique, but that effect, I think it is too much of a restriction for constructive play, although it might be a fun meme deck for my other account. 4 of those and a huge variety pack of interesting creatures. Easy Island. Silver Gills. What are we revealing? I think I'll just reveal that I have another Silver Gill Adept instead of showing off all of my other tricksy cards. Sleep off the top. So a lot of ways to get our creatures through. The Herald of Secret Streams doesn't have any friends with +1/+1 counters on them. That's a problem. Reassembling Skeleton is a 1/1. I really want to attack. So is Water Trap Weaver on the Skeleton worth it? I think so. It's mana efficient, meaning it doesn't use up all my mana. Or it does use up all my mana, is what I mean. I got to use all my mana on this turn, so I have more available in the future. And we get 2 damage in with the Silver Gill Adept. Here's Infectious Horror. That's 4 mana for a 2/2 zombie horror. Whenever it attacks, each opponent loses 2 life. Alright. Not very afraid of it, though, to be honest. So this turn we could sleep, we could Tempest Call. It's one of those situations where you almost want to do math. If you Tempest Call, the opponent goes to If you Tempest Call and attack, the opponent goes to 14. The next turn, if you sleep and attack with those creatures, the opponent goes to 8, and the next turn you untap and probably play a Mistbinder, and it's potentially lethal. You could also continue to increase your board so that these become even more threatening. But I kind of like with this hand trying to do things fast. Black is also the removal color, so I don't like exposing a good creature like Merfolk Mistbinder early. I want my opponent to have to use their removal if they have it on other creatures. Here's Open the Graves. Whenever a creature dies, our opponent gets a 2/2 black zombie creature token. Another reason to put the creatures to sleep for certain. And this is why Merfolk is one of the better decks as far as the precons go. It has a lot of these effects. Most of the precon decks are based around creatures, because that's how most people learn Magic, and it's what most games will be based around, creatures. But the Merfolk deck has a lot of ways to make creatures unable to block you, unable to interact, or it stops them from attacking with Sleep and Tempest Caller. Here comes the removal spell. There's the Murder. Is there another Murder? It looks like there is. It looks like we get double Murder. It's a double homicide, you guys. All right, so, that's too bad. We could do River Herald's Boon and get our opponent to 2, but I think it's more important to play another Merfolk here. Also, next turn we can have the evil combo of Secret Streams and River Herald's Boon to make our creatures unblockable. There's an Encyclopedia. Our opponent can draw some cards. They also have mana up potentially for a counter spell, and they are at 4. What to do? I think I will... I said counter spell, but it could be another Murder, I think is what I really mean to say. But I'll go for the Herald. Let's see, I'll go for the Boon, and I'll target the Silver Gills. That way they're both unblockable. And they're both a bit too big for the Reassembling Skeleton. So there's the combo. Now, does our opponent have a way to kill that Herald of Secret Streams? I'll attack. I don't mind trading this if the opponent isn't dead here. Wait, do I mind trading it? They get a zombie if I trade it. Is that worth it then? Because then what do they have? I lose another body. So say that they do kill this and they are not dead here. Then they need to go block and block. They gain 2 zombies, I lose 1 creature, they go to 2. I suppose that's good. Instead, our opponent murders the Silver Gill Adept, which means the Herald is still on the battlefield, and I still have an unblockable creature because of the Herald. I thought they would kill the Herald, then block the Adepts. They took a different... They went a different way. I think my opponent didn't see the unblockability, and that's what they're trying to do right now. Ugh. Awkward. So let's kill the Infectious Horror. Drop the opponent to 1. They make a zombie from Open the Graves because their creature died. And now they need to draw a 4th Murder. They already drew 3. It's the Eldest Reborn. Well, that's good because it forces me to lose 1 of these. Since I don't have another way handy to put +1/+1 counters on things, I'll give up the Herald. And we are in some trouble. The Eldest Reborn is a very strong card, and our opponent now has blockers. I'm going to keep this land in my hand because the Eldest Reborn will force me to discard a card next turn. Although, actually, I can play it out instead. So, we'll do that. But attacking here wouldn't be good. The zombie would kill it. And our opponent at just 1 life, will we be able to sneak through and finish the game? We have 4 creatures, they have 2. They need 2 more creatures or a way to kill 2 creatures. Liliana untouched by death. +1. The opponent controls a zombie, so they can subtract from Lily to do a -1/-1, which none of these can die. This is a hexproof card, so they can't target it. So I think the opponent has to +1 and hope that they hit a zombie, that they flip over a zombie in their top 3 cards. If they do, they'll gain 2 life, and I will lose 2 life. But let's see what they do.
Don't get squeamish on me.
They did not hit a zombie, so they're still at 1 life. And our attack will be lethal. They see that. They scoop up the permanence, as it is called in paper. Concede here on Arena. Ooh, we get a rare. A Johnny's Last Stand. Not a great rare. A lot of text to say sometimes maybe you get a 4/4. Alright, I said usually you want lands and spells, but this hand is obscenely weak, with 2 1/1s who don't even buff each other. Like, the first one who comes down doesn't even give us a counter. And 4 land. I have to mulligan that hand. This one, despite having even less spells, is better. We have Speaker into Sneak. Hopefully we can draw some good cards. Oracle's a good card. Hopefully combined with Sneak, it can draw some cards and get us back in the game, because we're already feeling behind when we're down a card like that. Our opponent with a Legion's Landing. They get a vampire, and when they attack with 3 or more creatures, it turns into a land that draws or creates a vampire every turn. Let's send in the Speaker. It sort of only does 1 damage if the opponent attacks with the vampire token, but I'd rather have each of us a life point lower. And there we go. Alright, we drew a card that we can play. Here comes Jade Bearer, pumping up the River Sneak and pumping up the River Sneak. Send them in. Then we'll play the other island and say go. Seafloor Oracle coming down next turn. Hopefully we'll get to draw some cards, so we really hope our opponent misses on some blockers. They do find a blocker in Orzhov Enforcer. Will they attack with the vampire? I want them to. To be honest, I want them to, but they don't. I gotta stop that lip smacking. I am conscious of it. It's a habit. It will take time. Please be patient with me. I will send in the River Sneak for certain. That will draw a card. If I send this, it blocks, the Enforcer blocks it, and it dies. If I send this, the Enforcer can block it, and it dies. But the Enforcer has to go sometime. If I send all of these, the Enforcer can eat this Jade Bearer, but then I'm more likely to draw 2 cards unless they chump in front of the Speaker. So the Enforcer can block here, and the token can block here, though. These would both die, these would both die. Actually, in hindsight, I think it's best to wait until I have a Lord, or a Sleep, or Tempest Caller. So that is the new plan. Because then if I get through unblocked, of course I draw many more cards if I have more creatures available, and I do more damage. So this is a key turn. Can the opponent kill the Seafloor Oracle? They have Glass of the Guild Pact. That buffs multicolored creatures, but none of these are multicolored creatures, so that's very awkward. We still don't want to attack with Oracle, but drawing the boon means I could pump whichever of these creatures is about to die. So, aside from the one blocked by the Enforcer, of course, because of Death Touch. So now I'm happy to attack with my other creatures. The opponent makes the blocks we predicted last turn. Let's pump up the Jade Bearer and the Sneak, because the Cumina Speaker is going to die no matter what. Now 2 of my opponent's creatures die, 1 of mine dies. The opponent gets an Afterlife token, which does get buffed by the glass. I'll play another Jade Bearer here just to have it on the battlefield. I may be able to cash it in for a card next turn. I can pump the River Sneak so it continues to deal more damage, or I can pump my other Jade Bearer so it can attack through the token. I'm going to go with the unblockable creature. And we'll play our tapped land because we have no other use for the mana this turn. Here comes the Call to the Feast, making 3 1/1 vampires. Now I'm very glad we buffed the sneak because it's unlikely our little baby merfolk will get through on the ground. So we're flooding. We're drawing more lands than spells. Never a good feeling. Never a good feeling, as you can't get your spell quests done this way. 6 spells and 8 lands is definitely not the ratio you're looking for when your deck is 40% lands and 60% spells. But it does happen. Seraph of the Scales, a 6/5 flying absolute monster card. It's only a 6/5 because of Glass of the Guild Pact and the +1/+1 counter from Guildmage's Forum, but it is a mighty creature that can gain Vigilance and Death Touch. Now the opponent has to attack with their lifelink creatures. If they don't, the River, Sneak, and any Merfolk off the top can be lethal. So they have to throw away some of these. Although we'll see, they might have tricks. If they have tricks, I'm in trouble. Up to 8 life. They still can't block the Sneak. And the Sneak gets bigger for each Merfolk I play, so I'm going to play more. Are you ready, Sneaky? Get the job done. Still can't be blocked. The opponent still has to find a way to kill it properly. Well, let's see. I'm going to play out my Mistbinder now. I miss out on a point of damage next turn by doing that, but I have 2 more points of damage on the field, plus I cast my spell in case the opponent concedes. So I'm working on that spell quest. I'm not sure it's 100% right to play the Mistbinder there. I usually like to save it until right before I do a big attack. But if my opponent's going to concede, I need my spells done. There you go. Oh, one more. One spell. One spell. That Merfolk life. I wanna be under the sea, in an octopus's garden, in the shade. So Sneaky. Unfortunately, we don't have blue mana, which means I should probably mulligan away the hand. First time we've had that problem today. And here we have Speaker, Binder, Weaver. That's pretty good. And now we have a land to play the Weaver. Oh boy. Well, lifelink is one way that makes it really tough for these cards to race. And Healer's Hawk is certainly good at that. Evasive damage and lifelink. Pretty strong. And the opponent with the perfect 1-2 punch of Healer's Hawk and a Johnny's Pridemate. Well, I suppose I'll play this Mistbinder and offer the trade, which the opponent, there's no way they're going to take. Their Pridemate gets bigger every turn, plus they're gaining life from the Healer's Hawk. How perfect is your draw? I mean, you already had the perfect start. Let's keep it going. Let's keep it going. No blocks, that's for certain. So the Water Trap Weaver needs to lock the Pridemate down. It's sort of my only hope. I suppose before we do that, we will also attack with the Speaker and the Weaver. Make this no more attacks, please. At least for a turn. The opponent feeling aggressive, not slowing down here. Let's see what they have for a follow-up. Their curve has been amazing. I thought mine looked good. They were on the play with a much better draw than we could hope to replicate. And they're not done. You know, they have many, many more cards to play. So here is my Merfolk Mistbinder. Here is my big old attack. At this point, we've done the quest. I don't really care what happens from here. The opponent with a double block on this Mistbinder, but we'll pump it up. See, I'm 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm not dead next turn. Oh wait, I am if I am to the token, but I can block the token. As long as the opponent doesn't remove it. So we'll pump this as well. Not sure what I'm hoping for. Our opponent gaining 2 more life. Going to 12. I suppose I could draw something like Sleep and still steal this game somehow. Unfortunately, though, I have to block because this is 10 total damage. Our opponent gained 1 life from blocking with their Healer's Hawk to make the Pridemate bigger, which I did forget about. Everybody makes mistakes. Our opponent's at 11. We do draw Sleep. What? What nonsense is this? Down to 1, and they need to answer the board next turn because their creatures do not untap. They had the perfect draw, and Sleep killed it. Oh my goodness. Well, that takes out the Merfolk. That completes the quest. 750 Gs as well as a booster. Now we come back tomorrow or whatever day I play this particular game again, and I can earn a new deck. So let's see what's in our booster pack. We have filled the rare wildcard counter, so we've got one of those hanging out, another common, and a mythic Resplendent Angel, which we did play against earlier today. All right, 1 more land will knock out that quest, and we're 2 wins away from a booster pack for the week. Since I'm recording this on a Saturday, it will reset tomorrow. I may as well go get it. So let's get back into our constructed event. You don't have to play these all in one sitting. They hang out there. You can walk away from them and come back to them later, something I am often guilty of forgetting. If I start one at 4 a.m., God knows I will be playing till 5 a.m. or later. This hand has too many lands, so I'm not going to keep it. This hand has only 1 land, but I think it's better than the last hand. You need a certain amount of ammo for this deck to function. I also won't keep anything that's not a land on top of my deck, because you do actually need to sort of curve out. You need 3 or 4 lands for this deck to really work and do the burning that it needs to do. So right away we get Spectacle. Please let my Firebrand live. If my Firebrand dies here, it would be a tragic. And yes, my opponent did let the Firebrand live. So I get to attack. I get to play Light Up the Stage. We don't see a land. Well, that's a bit of a tragedy. There's not much you can do when this happens other than feel bad feelings. We can still top deck a land next turn and play out the cards under our Light Up the Stage. If we don't play these by the end of the next turn, we lose them. To use it or lose it here. And I was pretty confident that with a Scry, a Draw Step, and a Light Up the Stage, I would find my second land. But obviously that has not worked out. And our opponent does have 2 lands and is getting to do the red deck things that red decks love to do. I think the best thing I can do is remove my opponent's threats and pass the turn here, because Fanatical Firebrand can, if the opponent attacks with both, block a Lava Runner, then kill something else. Oh, well, it can also kill a Steamkin, which is a big deal. Steamkin is a wonderful creature. Here's the attack. So I'm going to put my Fanatical Firebrand in front of the Lava Runner. This way it won't damage me. Then I'm going to sacrifice it to kill the Steamkin. Our opponent could have easily played the Steamkin second main phase if they wanted it to live. We did find another land. There is hope. Our Lava Runner can be a 2/2. It can get in there, letting us skewer the critics, and we can take out our opponent's Lava Runner. In these games, it's very interesting to see what's important. Normally, killing off the biggest creatures like Goblin Chain Whirler and getting value from when you cast them is very important. We don't have a Chain Whirler. We don't even have a 3rd land to play it if we had it. We're going to be behind on spells because we went first. It's hard to tell what's the most important thing to do with this game. Alright, we drew a third land. That is good to see. We'll send in Lava Runner. Opponent won't block. They like their Steam Kid. Trust me. No, I didn't. Did everybody see that glitch? It's very clearly a glitch. Because I thought I was still in combat. I meant to play the Viashino Pyromancer. Although maybe it's better if I don't because of the Fanatical Firebrand, but I meant to play the Viashino Pyromancer there. That was really strange. So not only are we struggling with a very bad draw, it seems the game has turned against us. Do I want to kill this Firebrand? No. I think that the Lightning Strike's more valuable than even the body on the Pyromancer. And we drew another one, so there's that. And the opponent's pointing more burn spells at our creatures. We're pointing creature burn at the face. Not out of it, I would say. Our opponent also had a pretty tough land draw. And they don't have a Goblin Chain Whirler, so there's that. We've got that going for us. Our opponent most certainly with another burn spell. And now they're going face. Interesting. They've decided that they're not killing the Pyromancer that way anymore. I'm still hoping to draw a Goblin Chain Whirler to kill my opponent's Firebrand. We have 4 of them. I don't know if the opponent plays them or not. Probably, but it would be a nice way to kill this so I don't have to use a Lightning Strike. It's always a tough call of how much damage you should take, as well as playing to potential draws in your deck. My goodness. How frustrating. We go from missing our second land drop to drawing, looks like 4 lands in a row. Well, not in a row. There was a Pyromancer in there, but just a bit of a lopsided draw for sure. And that early card that we missed out on is going to cost us a lot because we didn't have our second land. Flame of Keld. Oh no. So what's in the opponent's hand? 2 Experimental Frenzies. Oh no. Well, that's a good draw. That is a Rekindling Phoenix. Our opponent can probably kill it with the help of the Firebrand, but it does take out their resources. It says when Chapter 3 goes off, if a red sword you control would deal damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much +2 to that permanent or player instead. So it is an amplifier, but it looks like our opponent is not going to save their Lightning Strike and Firebrand to go to my face. It looks like they're going to use it, and they're attacking with the Firebrand. Well, I'm taking that. So they must have another burn spell, but why wouldn't they just wait 1 turn and go face? They're playing extremely conservative around the Phoenix, and we finally drew the Chain Whirler. Right on time. Just before the Firebrand would have been able to deal us 3 damage instead of 1. Let's see if the opponent has 2 more burn spells. It's possible they could just go shock on this critical turn. They have a Pyromancer, that's like a shock. That will deal 4. Nothing else? Okay. Another Phoenix. That's very exciting. I'm going to attack with the Chain Whirler and see what happens. And I'm not going to touch this button until I'm sure that I get... Yeah, see? There's that little window. All right. Here's the bird. Can the opponent kill me? I'm at 4 life. The risk factor. Well, I have to decline that because if I take 4, I die. They draw 3 cards, but can they use them this turn? Does it get the job done? They have something. It's a Lava Runner. They could attack with both and get me to 2, but they would be dead if I turned around. They don't know it, but they're dead anyway. It looks like we're going to steal this game. Pretty good luck down the stretch to make up for our bad luck in drawing those Rekindling Phoenix. Drawing both of them in a matchup where they're a very good card is pretty awesome. And here is the Lightning Strike for the lethal. Another 800 gold. 1 more game for a pack. We have Lava Runner, Shock, and a pair of Skewer the Critics, so let's keep. And here we go. This is very much a face hand, meaning going face, just reducing the opponent's life total. Like we can have them to 10 in a turn or two. And I could double Skewer here, but I think that playing the Pyromancer is better. I think that getting damage in early, like the sooner you get your creatures down, the more likely your creatures deal some more damage. The more creature damage you get, the easier it is to burn out your opponent. Here's a Wild Growth Walker. That is the kind of thing that must die. And that is a good draw. So we can go Viashino Pyromancer, your face. We can go Skewer the Critics, Spectacle, your Wild Growth Walker, because we damaged the opponent. And we can go bang. Right in the noggin. So getting rid of Wild Growth Walker is important because any Explorer cards gain 3 life. So gaining 3 life is a good way to totally ruin our burn you and hit you in the face strategy. So we'll Shock the face again. We will Spectacle the Walker. And we'll swing for 6. And now we just need a few good draws off the top. I'll play out my land. You never know when we'll draw Light Up the Stage and hit lands that we wish to play that way. Knight of Autumn can gain back 4 life. That's a really good draw. And our opponent goes back up to 8. Shock off the top. Let's go ahead and Shock away the Knight so that we get the creature damage in anyway and all of our creatures live. Opponent down to 2. Can they keep gaining life? They have a Tristani. That gums up the board, but if we draw a burn spell, we win. Are you ready? That's not the burn spell. No! No, we were so close. The opponent with a great draw, by the way. Walker, Walker, Autumn, Tristani. Like, that's so ideal. So good for them. We still could have beat them. We were 1 card away. We drew 5 land. It's very bad. So I'm going to block with my Viashino Pyromancers because I can't let my opponent gain too much more life. From this position, we can still top deck multiple lightning bolts and win. So there's 1. I can't believe we're still in this game, but we could draw another lightning bolt and win. Oh my god, they have another Tristani to make more lifelinkers? That's so insane. They're so good at Magic. But can we be better? Here is the lightning bolt. Unreal. Unbelievable. And I'm sure that Mr. Strife, our opponent, is just shaking their head. Just shaking their head. All right, let's open this pack that we just won. See if we get anything good. Another uncommon wild card and a Lumbering Battlement, which is a pretty fun card. I'm going to go buy some packs from the store. So let's hit the store. Get used to buying and opening packs. It is the way that you acquire. It is a way that you acquire your collection. It is usually the way, unless you draft, which I'm not much of a drafter. Should you just buy Ravnica Allegiance, the latest thing? Well, most of the commons and uncommons in Ravnica Allegiance you will unlock over time because currently it's your weekly reward. You've seen me open a lot of Ravnica Allegiance packs here on the channel. So I'm going to open Guilds of Ravnica instead. Some people might be tired of Guilds of Ravnica. This part really is up to you. There's also something to be said for studying what deck you want to play and only opening packs that contain the chase rares that you want in hopes that you get, say, a Teferi. I'm going to go with Guilds of Ravnica because it is going to be in Standard for a very long time. So my advice would be to open cards that you can use in current Arena for a long time. There is such a thing as rotation. If you want to learn more about that, look up what is Standard. In a short nutshell, come October of this year, you will no longer be able to use cards from, where are they? Ixalan, Rivals of Ixalan, and Dominaria in current Standard. There will be other formats, you can still play your cards, but not for Standard. And I am a standard player. I love standard. You probably do too. I would strongly, strongly, strongly recommend that you buy cards that will be in standard longer, but that's up to you. I don't want to make a big deal out of it. Also, when I craft my rare wild cards to make a good deck, I don't worry about what will rotate, because what is a good deck now and what is a good card now will likely change based on the future. So if I want a good deck today, I'm not going to avoid crafting certain cards for it because they'll rotate someday, because those cards are only good for a limited time anyway. Just because you craft a deck that's rotation proof doesn't mean that deck will be any good come rotation. But when it comes to acquiring for collection, which is basically what the boosters are, I like to pick up cards that I'll be able to have around and available to me for a long time. A Lava Coil, that's a really good open as an uncommon that can be good in our red deck, although I don't know if it will make the cut since it can't hit the face. And a Temple Garden is a rare land that we definitely want. The sooner you get your rare lands, it's kind of like removing your training wheels and you can build decks of multiple colors. And there's another. What a sweet pack opening. Rewarded for going Guilds of Ravnica here. Alright, thank you for watching this episode of our free-to-play series. I'll be back, of course, with more content from that in the future. Let me know in comments if you're enjoying it, and I can't wait to see what new deck we earn next time. Thank you for watching this video. As always, I will see you in the next video.